Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the ninth house in astrology. Now, as far as what the ninth house rules and governs, it is associated with philosophy, religion, higher education, in-laws, grandchildren, traveling abroad, going to different countries, expanding horizons. It's also associated with publishing and abstract thinking, and also the ninth house is associated with humor. It corresponds with the zodiac sign Sagittarius. And first thing to look at is the sign on the cusp of the house can describe the matters that pertain to that house. It might show certain attitudes that are associated with it, certain characteristics that are connected with the ninth house. So, like mine, for example, is in Capricorn. So it tells me that that could manifest for me perhaps in very orthodox, conventional, philosophical outlook, very orthodox convention in terms of religious beliefs, and very conservative in those matters. Now, the ninth house is something too, like as far as for me, I mean, ninth house, when you have Capricorn on the cusp of the ninth house, the Capricorn can be associated with restrictions and limitations and even what we may try to avoid or even fear. And it's interesting that I have not ever traveled out of the country, and again, I have Sagittarius on the cusp of my ninth house in my chart. I guess if there's any remote chance I would have any grandchildren, they may be Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Capricorn characteristics. What's interesting is that my grandmother likely had the zodiac sign Cancer on her ninth house cusp in her natal chart, and she had me, one of her grandchildren, of course, and I'm a Sun in Cancer. And then there was another grandchild she had that had the sun in the zodiac sign Cancer as well, and the other one had a Cancer ascendant, has a Cancer ascendant. So sometimes when you look at the sign on the cusp of the house, as far as it being connected with a family member, it can reflect at times that that person might actually have that zodiac sign prominent in their chart, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, that is associated with the family member of of that person. Like, for example, again, the ninth house being associated with in-laws and grandchildren, so it can indicate that you may have a grandchild or an in-law that might be a Sun, Moon, Ascendant connected with the sign on the cusp of it, or one that embodies those characteristics. Now, the thing too is it's also important to see if the house inhabits any planets, because it can that will flavor the house energy. Now, somebody has let's say they have Uranus in their ninth house. It could be a person that might take higher education courses that could be connected with Uranus. It could be something with astrology, or something with perhaps electronics, computers. If there's anything associated with humanitarianism, it could be somebody going to college to be an electrician. If it's safe, it's Uranus and Scorpio, for example. It could be somebody that has unusual, perhaps occult type philosophies, or some unusual astrological theories and philosophies as well. Now, the thing about it too is in looking at this as well. I mean, another example, let's say that somebody has Venus in Gemini in the ninth house in their natal chart. That could be somebody that might value a variety of different outlooks, or maybe going somebody that really enjoys going to a wide divergence of foreign countries. And the thing too is, or the enjoyment of having being able to have humor in many different ways, or a love of communication with foreigners, or enjoy being enamored with communicating about things connected with abstract thinking. So this is something where somebody might meet somebody that might be potentially their significant other, that might be a Gemini sun, moon, or ascendant, or one that embodies those traits in a foreign country. Now, also too, look and see if there's any planets that may make aspects that may be made to the cusp, or planets that are in the ninth house in your chart. Now, what's interesting, I have the sun in the zodiac sign Cancer making a very tight opposition to my Capricorn ninth house cusp. Now, of course, that could manifest in a multitude of ways. That could really be about my focus on, and see that my sun in Cancer conjuncts my third house cusp. So that could be a very strong focus on very, you could say, dedicated, devoted communications in matters in my own neighborhood. Could oppose foreign travel. I mean, that is one way that it could manifest and pan out, but it also shows that people, that if there's any dominant male figures in my life, they might be opposed to my philosophies and be adversarial to them, because in having Capricorn on the ninth house cusp, it could show certain intransigence in my viewpoints, as well, in the things that I actually believe in. So, and this is something to look at. What's important too, as far as the ninth house goes in astrology, look and see what house the ruler of the ninth house cusp falls in. Now, in my case, having Capricorn on the cusp of the ninth house, the ruler is Saturn, and that ruler falls in my 12th house in my natal chart. So when you have when you're talking about house rulers in astrology, it's about bringing the energy from the one house into the other one. You're bringing the energy from the house where the ruler is coming from, into the house where the ruler is actually posited. So what it tells me is, like with me, any matters, like, any philosophies I might be bringing to people that are prominent in my private life, my private sector in my life. But also keep in mind that the ninth house is also humor. So I could be bringing humor into people that are less fortunate than myself, the ones that are kind of downtrodden or impoverished, oppressed, homeless, hungry, bringing that energy, bringing that hope and optimism from the ninth house, and help brighten those lives of those 12th house people. Now, it's also too, I mean, looking at this, and remember, having the ninth house, ruler of the ninth house in the 12th house of restrictions can indicate that there could be some restrictions in matters with grandchildren and in-laws. And if I was to do any traveling abroad, it may be to learn things connected with something with the 12th house, such as the metaphysical and some kind of mystery. Metaphysical can include astrology. So anyway, another thing that's important as far as the ninth house goes in astrology are transits to it. Now, transits to the ninth house in astrology can be significant, as they could manifest in spontaneous and unexpected events. Now, let's say, for example, somebody has transit Pluto in their ninth house. Now, that could be a situation that maybe that they have to guard against being manipulated by people that are in some kind of religious congregation, or you yourself might be overly forceful or trying to indoctrinate your viewpoints onto somebody. It could manifest in a death death of an in-law or a grandchild. It could be the transformation of some kind of religion. You might find yourself taking some kind of Plutonian higher education course. It might be something with insurance or something with tax related, like being a tax examiner, or doing something with the occult, which can include astrology, something with maybe transformation. It could be something with sculpting if they do have any college courses connected with that. Learning to do something connected with the death profession, like learning to be a coroner or a funeral director or even a surgeon. Now, another thing too. Hold on a moment, people. Also, what's important as well is to look at progressions that involve the ninth house. Can be significant. They could show they can be about certain events that may be happening at that time of the progressions, but keep in mind they do. They're on average are going to last longer than transits in your chart. Now, let's say, for example, that in your progressed chart, that you're like in my case, what's happened with me, of course, during the course of my life, I've had my progressed ninth house cusp had gone into Aquarius, and when it went into Aquarius, I'm sure for me, that is when I began to have, as far as my philosophical outlook was a little bit more unorthodox, and my higher learning, so to speak, may have been tied into astrology at that time. And also looking at this as well, just one example. Let's take an aspect. Let's say, for example, in a progressed chart, you have Mars making an adverse aspect to the ninth house cusp. Now, this could manifest in a number of ways. This could be about having more difficulty in finding the energy, perhaps, to do things that are ninth house related, whether it's expanding horizons or activities with grandchildren, in-laws. It could be maybe difficult to even taking a joke, because again, the ninth house is associated with humor, because the ninth house again does correspond with the zodiac sign Sagittarius. And the situations with ninth house people, whether they're foreigners or people at a religious congregation or college, university, may be more contentious, more so than usual. And the thing is, and of course, this can pertain to transit. If this aspect is in transit, or if you have this in your natal chart as well. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.